All right, welcome back everyone. I've been in the process of basically rebuilding my shop, and so far what I've done is insulate the walls. Still need to get to insulating the ceiling, but that's hopefully coming up pretty soon here. I've added in some storage up top, and today I'm going to be focusing on adding in a workbench slash miter saw station along this back wall here. Let's get into it. All right, so here's my basic plan. I do like to design on SketchUp, but sometimes I just like drawing it out on pencil and paper and just giving myself a quick sketch of what I want to be doing. So this is the layout that I'm going to be going for. I already have a table saw cart, I guess, and a rolling workbench. Those are both about 4 feet in length. And my idea is to make my counters just a little bit higher than both of those so that when I'm not using them, I can roll them underneath that storage space. Now, eventually I might be doing some built-in cabinets, things like that, but for now, I think it'll be nice to be able to roll those underneath and just put them out of the way so I can pull vehicles, and since it is still a garage as well. So that is the goal here, is to kind of build it section by section, and then I can adapt as I go along. So I'm going to do a 4-foot section here, another 4-foot section there. Then I'm going to drop a section and have my miter saw there. And then it'll also be a bench, a workbench all along the last section on the right there. And then the plan is to put French cleats and a bunch of tools on top. So now that you know the overall plan, let's get into the build.
All right, so for lumber on this project, I'm basically grabbing every piece of scrap that I have lying around. There's a bunch of 2x8s and 2x6s that I'm ripping down to size and then just running through the planer. I also used a lot of the leftover boards from the previous workbench that I had.
All right, so here is all the 2x4s I had kind of lying around. They're cleaned up, run through the table saw and the planer. So these are about 3 inches wide now. And this is what I'll be using for building out the frames of the back workbench miter saw station.
Now just taking those boards and marking out all my measurements and cutting them to size. Like I said, I'm going to be building about 4-foot sections for this, so that is a little bit more adaptable as my needs change. All right, if you're not a fan of pocket holes, look away for a couple minutes here, but I find them super convenient and easy to use for projects like this. This jig, while it definitely has its flaws, works really well. Dust collection works well and makes the project go by quite a bit quicker. All right, now just measuring locations for all the boards here and clamping those into place before I screw them in. Now, of course, you don't have to go pocket hole route on this. You can just pre-drill and drill in some screws from the other side as well. Working in these 4-foot sections also just makes it a little bit more manageable for working on my own as well. Once that's ready to go, I'm just going to mark and measure my height on the wall. Once I have one height measured, I'm using the level to draw a line across on the wall. Since the floor in my garage is not level at all, I'm not going to be using that as a reference. I'm making sure that I'm marking up the wall and drawing on and checking level really consistently. To help myself out, I'm just Drilling in a couple screws right below the line, just as a little ledge to pop up the framing. That's another good reason to do this in smaller sections. It's just a little bit more manageable as one person putting this up. Alright, once I clamp a support in place there, I'm able to find level, pre-drill some holes, and screw this into the wall. I'm making sure to find my stud locations behind the OSB. For the legs, you could easily just screw a 2x4 straight in, but I decided to double them up and notch them out so they kind of fit into the framing that I had made already. So one piece is cut like this. I put it together with another one, and they kind of lock into the corner like that. Okay, with that cut, now it's time to just glue those boards together. Alright, once that glue dries, time to remove the clamps without dropping anything, of course. And clean that up with a hand plane and some sandpaper. And making sure that my fit is good. All right, with that made, on to making the second section, and it's going to go pretty much the same as the first one. Adding in the cross supports and drilling it into place and leveling it up on the wall. And putting that leg in there and adding in a little cross support at the bottom as well.
All right, about halfway done here in terms of just laying out the framing. Still gonna do miter station and continue on to the far wall there. But right now, I'm just gonna check and make sure that these actually fit underneath. Probably should have done that a while ago, but hopefully I got it right. Awesome. Okay. Let's keep going.
This next section here is dropped down a little bit, and it is for my miter saw. I tried to make it big enough so that I could hopefully get a variety of different miter saws in the future and have them still fit in that space. And moving on to the last section, you may notice that some of the lumber I'm using there is a little bit shorter in width, just because I'm running out of material and just using what I have available. All right, and adding in the last leg here. And there we go, framing is all complete. Next up, I'm going to be grabbing my full sheet of 3/4 inch MDF, which I'll be using for the tops of the miter saw station. Now to maximize the sheet, I am going to have to cut it widthwise instead of lengthwise, which means there's going to be some more seams along my benches, but it will allow me to use more of the material available. Now I don't have a track saw, but I do have a straight edge which I can clamp straight onto the MDF. I just need to make sure that I measure the distance between the edge of my straight edge and the blade of my circular saw. And in my case that's 4 inches, so I just add 4 inches to whatever distance I want to cut, and that will give me the correct size. And I am making these a little bit bigger than they need to be, and I will trim them off with a router after they're installed. All right, finishing up a few more of those, and over to the tops. You may have noticed that the wall on the back is now black. That is in preparation for my French cleats that I'll be putting up after this is done. So no judgments on the black yet. I think it's gonna look good, but make sure that you watch for that video release so you can see how it turns out. I did go around and add in some more pocket holes on the framing so that I could fasten the MDF from the bottom instead of screwing through from the top. Once that's done, I'm using my router with a bit with a guide bearing on it and running that straight along the side so I can get a nice flush edge. To finish the tops of the counters, I'm using some paste wax. I put on a couple coats of this, and it's just gonna help it be a little bit more durable and last a little bit longer. Now, I did grab a couple pieces of 2x6, cut them down on the bandsaw, and add them to the front of the workbenches here. Now, I know this isn't gonna be super durable, but it is gonna help protect the edge of that MDF there. Hopefully eventually I can put some hardwood or something like that up there, but I think for now this will work fine. All right, there's my progress so far. I do want to be adding in some T-track for the miter saw and a few other things to the workbench here, but that is where I'm at. All right, that's my stopping point for now. There's still a few things that I need to finish off, a little bit of, extra little trim bits here and there, get the miter saw fastened in place. But I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. It's not the most high-end build, but I think that it's gonna be really great for what I need it for. And I am excited to move on to actually finding a home for all my tools again, so this shop can become usable. Make sure that you like and subscribe so that you can keep up to date with the progress on the shop. See you on the next one.